I've been searching for this bird all day, and it feels like such a reward to finally, after all that time and effort, to finally see one. When I was in this forest last year, I had this spectacular sighting of a great gray owl, and it inspired one of my favorite paintings that I've done in the last little while. And that sighting was really special, and it was really unique, and that painting was really great, and it turned out incredibly well. And so I've come back to the same forest to see if I can see that great gray owl again. I'd love to do another painting of this amazing bird, and I'd love to have another one of those experiences again. So I've just come back to this forest once again to see if I can see one. So my plan for today is I just want to cover as much ground as I possibly can, both on the trail and maybe in the car a little bit, just driving around to see if I can see one of them. Just keeping my eyes up on the trees and just looking for that very distinct shape. The only difficult part is that their coloring, it matches this forest so well that sometimes you don't see them until you're right on top of them. So I'm just coming up to the same spot that I saw the owl last year, and the chances of it being in the same spot again right now are probably pretty slim, but it doesn't hurt to try coming back to the same spot to see if there's one here. All right, I've been hiking for a few kilometers now, and backpack was getting a little bit heavy, so I decided to just take a little break on the edge of this clearing here. And this would be the kind of spot where I would imagine that they would want to be, on the edge of a clearing where they can sit up on a tree and listen for the mice that are underneath the snow. Their hearing is so incredibly good that they can pinpoint the mice under the snow with their hearing. It's so great, and that would be something that would be amazing to see, is to see one actually swoop down and catch a mouse under the snow. So just gonna take a little break and then keep covering some ground and see what I can find. Long day of hiking so far. Maybe hiked, I don't know, 5-6 kilometers, just checking different spots. It's kind of getting on to the end of the day, so I just want to go and check one or two more other places while I still have a bit of light, see if I can find something. I'm stopped because I actually see one, and this is great. It's the end of the day, the light is fading, and it's actually in a place that I did not expect to see. I just can't believe I've spent the whole day looking, and driving down the highway here, I see it on a fence post. And this looks really promising. It looks like I might actually be able to get what I want, some images of it hunting. So I'm just gonna watch it to see what it does, to see if it'll stick around, and I'm gonna set the tripod up and I'm gonna see if I can film this owl. The most amazing thing has just happened. It was off in the distance for quite a while, and it's flown right to a fence post that's really, really close to me. It seems comfortable with me, it seems okay, and I think I might actually be able to get it hunting right here. It just feels so amazing and so awesome to have put in all that effort to finally see this bird I've been looking for all day. When this much time passes between when I have the wildlife sighting and the painting, it's because I really want to get it right. That was one of the most unique experiences I'd ever had with a great gray owl. And so I want my painting and the setting that I put this owl in to be worthy of that experience that I had. I wanted something really dynamic, but also very ethereal, to kind of match that sort of ghostly and mysterious nature that the great gray owl has. So it took me a couple years, searching for the right background, searching for the right scene, the right inspiration that would fit this bird. And even when I was out hiking and searching for other painting ideas, I always had this on the back of my mind, hoping that one day I would come across that really great scene. And I often don't mind taking this kind of time to really settle on an idea. I really want it to be good, and I want it to be inspirational, and I want it to be strong. So taking that time and kind of having it on the back of my mind constantly while I'm out in nature can do some pretty fantastic things for helping me figure out what I hope will be a unique painting idea like this one. And then on this amazing winter day, where for the previous few days there had been a lot of snowfall, I came across this scene where the sun was low in the sky, a little bit of blue sky, and the entire landscape just covered in this thick blanket of snow. Every branch, every tree, every blade of grass just covered in this perfect layer of snow. Right then and there, I knew that this was it. And the light bouncing off of all these snow-covered branches was just the scene I had been looking for. And I knew that this would be a challenge because I was wanting to do the painting a little bit larger, and so filling this much surface area with that many details is going to take a long time, and there's going to be many different things that I'm going to be trying. But I know from in the past and doing other paintings similar to this, that that amount of time and that kind of patience is definitely worth it in the end. I always want to try and push myself to do new things and try new painting ideas, try more challenging ideas that might have a stronger impact, and I really like doing larger paintings like that because I really like how a larger painting draws you into the scene. And what I wanted to build into this scene was all these different layers and shapes created by these branches, kind of one in front of the other. And what I was hoping for is that it would give it this great three-dimensional look, looking through all the layers of light and shadow among these branches, giving it some great depth and great structure. So I just continued to work color after color, layer after layer, detail after detail, sometimes spending an entire day on just one single color. So each branch was sort of a small painting in itself. It had its own shadow and highlight that was unique from all the other different branches depending on its placement in the painting and how much light was either shining on it or reflecting on it from all the other parts of this tree. What I'm hoping for is that the highlights and shadows have the right balance to them so that when I finally put the owl in the scene, it's really going to stand out amongst these snowy branches. And with most of my paintings, and this one in particular because of the amount of branches and details, it's not often a linear process. I'll often paint one section which looks right. I'll paint another section to try and
match and balance, but that affects the way the other section looks. So I go back and I make a change, which then affects the other parts that I've done. So I go and make adjustments here and there. So I start out with pretty broad brush strokes. I really just want to get some colors down so that I get the basic shape and outline of things and the basic general look. And then once I'm happy with where things are, I can go in and start refining details, sharpening edges, deepening some colors, adding some of those finer details like you see in this tree trunk here. This process of slowly building things up helps me in achieving an overall balance to the highlights and the shadows. It's one of the things I love most about winter scenes. The snow just reflects the light from every different direction, the sunlight from the one side and the blue skylight from the other. You get this really great dynamic of light in these scenes. So I've been at this painting now for about a month, and it has definitely been worth all that time and effort. Trying new things and experimenting is always great learning, even if it's something that doesn't work out. I still like to give it a try, and I still like to push through to see what I can do and all the new things that I can try with my paintings. In the end, all those branches and all that light and shadow really came together to give it that ethereal look that I was going for. And in most of my work, I do leave the wildlife for last. It's that final piece that's really exciting, that just brings the whole painting to life. And what I hope is that the intense look of the owl and the high contrast of all the details on the feathers are going to come together to balance out this entire painting. So I just want to slowly build up the details. I'm very excited to be working on the owl, but I want to have the patience that it's going to take to really bring out all the feather details. There's a lot going on with this great gray owl. Its feathers are very mottled, which works great for its camouflage in the wild, but it can make it a bit of a challenge to paint. So what I'd like to find is that nice harmony between lots of feather detail and the bird looking three-dimensional and real and fitting into the painting. Working on this owl now has really given me that renewed sense of energy. I think the scene and the owl are going to complement each other incredibly well. And the eyes are always really important on an animal. If I said before that the animal brings the scene to life, for the wildlife, the eyes bring the animal to life. So I just want to take my time here and get them right. I love this deep, rich yellow of the great gray owl's eyes. So I'm spending quite a bit of time here just to make sure I get that highlight right. The one eye is slightly in shadow, so it's going to be slightly darker. So I think I went back and forth a little bit to make sure that that was right. And then the highlight always brings out just that extra little bit of life. When I was first putting this painting together, I had thought that maybe that intense look of the owl and those really sharp eyes was maybe too strong for this painting. But the further along I got, the more it suited the painting quite well, and I was really happy with that intense look of the owl and that soft look of the background. The lighting conditions when I saw the owl are completely different from the light that's on these snowy branches. So I've really got to take my time and be patient to try and match that lighting from the snowy branches onto the owl. But to me, lighting is so important in a painting. It really builds the mood and it really builds the character of the scene. And especially here where in the winter, the sun is very low in the sky, and so it's got this very distinct look. So I just want to make sure that I get that right so that it matches the entire scene and that you get this true feeling of winter. Backgrounds and interesting scenes have always been an important part of my paintings. Because for me, nature is not just about the wildlife, but also where you find that wildlife. Animals and their habitats are so connected that I really want to show that connection in my artwork. After 2 years, from the incredible sighting of that great gray owl, to the searching and the patience it took to find the right background, I can finally finish this painting. It's that type of a connection with nature that I always hope for. It gives me such a rich emotional experience that I can then bring into my artwork. And I hope that it not only shows the inspiration I can get from such an experience, but the love I have for both wild animals and wild places.